G'day everyone! Recently I was browsing around the MS-DOS game site, dosgames.com, and I saw this game called The Adventures of Dianna Lee in the Lost Temple of the Aztecs, or simply Dianna Lee for short. It looked pretty intriguing, so I downloaded it and gave it a try. It was made back in 1994 by Bill Lorraine, and some other members of his family, including his wife and his kids. In fact, the main character, Dianna Lee, is named after his wife, which I think is kinda cute. The game itself is a fairly simple puzzle platform game, which has you searching for various items through the levels, such as the chalice that you'll find in the first level. The mechanics of this game are actually fairly simple. So Dianna Lee can move and jump around, and she has a whip to destroy enemies. These enemies are also fairly simple. They just basically walk backwards and forwards on whatever platform they happen to be on. There are some different graphics for a few of them, but they all behave exactly the same. The levels themselves also present some hazards in the form of lava or water, which kills you if you touch them. Speaking of which, there is no health bar, so if you get hurt in any way, you die instantly. The good news being that you have infinite lives, so you can retry a level as many times as you need. I found most of the difficulty in the game came from the platforming aspect of the game, and less so from the enemies, which were fairly easy to defeat in general. There were a few issues that exacerbated some of the difficulty that were not needed. For instance, climbing the vine seems to be a weird mechanic. The higher you climb the vine, the slower you can climb. And also the higher you climb, the higher your falling velocity will be when you get off the vine. This is very, very strange, and makes the vines in general a little bit awkward, particularly when you're trying to jump from one vine to another. Another issue that I had was the leaps of faith you have to do in order to get down in a level. Essentially, you may be standing on a platform and know you need to get down to one below you, and you can't see it. And often there are enemies patrolling there, and if you just jump down blindly, you will often run into the enemy and die. There is a little bit of a workaround with this, with a key that will let you scroll the screen down a little bit and see, but there is a limited range with that. But it does fortunately let the enemies move, so you can wait for the appropriate moment to jump. So it's probably not as bad as it could be. The last thing that you might run into that's kind of a very slight problem is that the enemy death animations can actually hurt and kill you if you touch them before the enemy disappears. It's only a very slight problem because in general you can just be patient and wait for them to disappear and not have much peril. Although truthfully, I did get caught out a number of times. That's pretty much all there is to the mechanics of the game. It's fairly simple, but it's quite playable. It's also very short, with only 5 levels. The goal of the first 4 levels being, you need to find a special item and take it to the exit. Generally this is fairly straightforward to do, it just takes some exploration. The last level is a little bit different. Basically, your goal is to fight and win against a boss. To do this, you'll need to find a bow hidden in the level. After that, you need to navigate to where the boss's lair is, and place the items you'd previously collected into some receptacles. Then the boss will spawn, and then I'm guessing you need to shoot him with the bow. This part I haven't managed to complete yet. I haven't been able to defeat the boss. Part of the reason for that is because of the structure of the final level. It's actually really quite difficult to get to the final boss, let alone defeat him. And this is because of the number of leaps of faith in this level. Basically, if you make any misjumps, you have to try the whole thing all over again. Combine this with a few sections you can only learn by trial and error, and this is quite a frustrating level. Still, I'm sure if I persisted a bit longer, I probably would have managed to beat it. I just didn't have the patience. Like I said earlier, this game is exceptionally short. I think it would probably take a newcomer about 5 hours to complete the game, but if you know what you're doing, you could probably do it in as little as 1, or maybe even less than 1. It's not bad for what it is, and it's quite enjoyable to play. It just doesn't have any depth that maybe a bigger game might have. Before we finish the video for today, I'd just like to note that this game doesn't have any background music. What you're hearing in the background is something that I've added. I'd also like to note that my channel recently hit a milestone of 500 subscribers, so the next video I make will most likely be a milestone video. If you've got any questions or suggestions, I encourage you to leave a comment in the comment section below. Anyhow, I think that's pretty much all I have to say for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.